Hello and welcome to episode number 21 of the Hong Kong Racing Show. Andrew Brown with you and Alex Evers as well, joining you for another huge show. Shortly we'll be joined by trainer Mark Newnham, fresh from his win in last week's Hong Kong Classic Mile with My Wish. So really looking forward to speaking to Mark in a few moments. We will, of course, take a look at the card at Sha Tin on the weekend as well. Try and find you a couple of winners there. But firstly, Alex, welcome back from your trip. But you're not back in the States for long, are you?
Not that long, heading off to Saudi for the next leg of the Middle East journey for Romantic Warrior. But it is good to be home for a couple days, spend some time with the wife and the dogs and decompress a little bit. But tons of stuff to edit. And here we are doing more shows. It's a great thing.
Well, it's good to have you back. You did, of course, refer to Saudi. We've got the Saudi Cup coming up on February 22, and there's been a little bit going on from a North American perspective too in terms of news. We've got Rating Breeders' Cup Classic winner Sierra Leone will no longer travel, nor will the 2023 Breeders' Cup Classic winner White Abario. So there's a couple of horses that will make Romantic Warrior's job a little bit easier that won't be in the race anymore. And of course, Romantic Warrior still in Dubai where he breezed earlier this week. He's going to ship off to Saudi on Monday, which is 3 days later than originally planned. Trainer Danny Shum is also thinking about applying some grip shoes for his first start on the dirt. He's going to trial them firstly on his traveling companion, Romantic Charm. You haven't run into any grip shoes in your times in Dubai or Saudi, have you, Alex?
No, I haven't. And I'm not the biggest fan of people changing equipment on horses, especially at this point in their career when they've been so successful. And again, that track is supposed to, from everything I've been told, it's supposed to play like a turf course and
Yeah.
be really kind and favorable. Like I said, I was talking to Mike Smith Saturday at Santa Anita and just asked him about his trip there and what the course was like. And he was saying that the kickback was the most favorable and gentle and kind to closers. And that would bode well for a turf horse like Romantic Warrior. But I think he'll be all right with his normal shoes.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting from Mike there. Of course, Forever Young, one of the other favourites in last year's Kentucky Derby place getter, he had his last fast work during the week as well. He mowed down 3 of his Yoshito Yahagi stablemates, and he really looks ready to roll. If we have a look at the market, the latest odds of the Saudi Cup, a lot has changed now with Sierra Leone out, and Romantic Warrior has actually replaced Forever Young for favoritism, which is interesting. We've got around 8-5. This is on international markets for Romantic Warrior. Forever Young around the 2-1 mark with international markets, and then it's a step away from there to Laurel River, and looks like Locked might be heading as well for Todd Pletcher. So plenty of exciting stuff happening in terms of Romantic Warrior's second leg of his Middle East campaign before he then goes back to Dubai and potentially has a crack at the Dubai World Cup or the Dubai World Turf. Let's turn our attention to some highlights from last week at Sha Tin. Their huge Chinese New Year race day where 80,000 fans turned up, including Alex, and around 250 million US was wagered on it. I think Alex was responsible for some of that as well. I've got to ask you, Alex, Chang Cheng Glory, the pride of Iowa, with the biggest win of his career so far, getting the job done under Huey Bowman in the Group 3 Centenary Vars. What was that like?
Made at the 200 meters into the race when he was traveling where he was and he was comfortable and Q had him, 2 off the lead. I was like, man, I wish I'd have tipped him. He was just ran incredible. And he's such a nice, hard knocking horse, beautiful horse, son of more spirit. Bowman was on fire too. I mean, he could do no wrong out there. It was unreal to watch. And it was from all over the place too. He had a ride where he scraped the paint coming inside a Casper Founds horse. He was out there just being awesome and great to see. Happy for the Chan Cheng syndicate. I know one of the big owners wasn't there, was in Toronto, so we were sending in pictures and keeping him happy. But what a nice horse. And I don't know if the grade 1 is in his reach there in Hong Kong, but he's certainly done everything great there so far. And getting a grade 3 isn't bad. And we'll see him look like he'll test the FWD Champions Mile in April with another match with Voyage Bubble.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think the Hong Kong Gold Cup in a few weeks as the first point of call, and then onto that Champions Mile, as you mentioned. Now a winner of 8 from 23, Chang Chang Glory. God, if he won a grade 1, Iowa would be going off. Well, the other big race we want to talk about, of course, is the Hong Kong Classic Mile, taken out by the Mark Newnham trained My Wish, and we're lucky enough to be joined by Mark from Hong Kong. Mark, congrats on the win. It's only your second year training in Hong Kong, but where does that victory rank in your highlights reel so far?
Yeah, hi Andrew, hi Alex. Look, it's very important as far as major wins that I've had. I counted up there as winning, my first Group One in Australia because in Hong Kong you can win as many class three and class four races as you like. But the thing that draws attention is this 4-year-old series where, most owners want to have a potential Derby horse, and the lead into that is the Classic Mile, and it puts you out there in people's consideration for when they're buying their next horse that that have Derby aspirations for.
Yeah, well, that's certainly saying something because obviously you had a huge career in Australia, not just as a trainer in your own right, but with Gay Waterhouse as well. So you've been involved with lots of Group One wins over the years. My wish that was his fourth win from 6 starts this season. How surprised have you been with just how well the horse has progressed?
Oh, look, he's a horse that's always displayed above average ability, but look, his size and temperament probably held him back a little bit early. And I did only give him a couple of starts last season, just because he wasn't conditioned to handling any more than that. But as this season's gone on, he's really toughened up, and his attitude's improved and his appetite's improved. He's improved in every department really, and even the way he paraded last Friday, he was much more settled. So he's maturing, not just physically but mentally as well.
That's great. And as you alluded to, the first leg of the 4-year-old classic series, that was over a mile. The next step up is to the 9 furlongs, the Hong Kong Classic Cup, and then up to the 1.25 mile of the Hong Kong Derby, I should say, over the 1.25 mile in the Derby. How confident are you that he can sort of step up and run beyond a mile, Mark?
Oh, look, I think the 1800 certainly within his grasp. He settled well last Friday in the Classic Mile. And the 1800-metre start from that long shoot down the back straight at Sha Tin, it gives them a lot of time and they tend not to be in a hurry. So the races aren't run generally from there at a strong tempo, which will suit him. Stepping up to the Derby distance is a little more difficult. It's the 2 turns, and they tend to go quite quickly into the first turn because of the short run out of the straight. There's more pressure, and there's more pressure when horses get trapped wide. So, look, we'll one step at a time. He's certainly ticked the mile box already. I think the 1800's certainly doable, but then there's certainly a question mark again once we get to 2000.
Yeah.
Mark, how did you end up getting this horse? Is this something you purchased or the owners gave him to you? What's his story there?
Yeah, look, he came in as an unraced horse. That group of owners showed me the horse and asked me what I thought of him. I knew the trainer in Australia who had him, so I rang him and I spoke to him. And look, he had one trial at one of our provincial tracks, so not somewhere where you would generally look to purchase a Hong Kong horse, but his trainer in Australia, Steve Hodge, him and another couple bred him. So he didn't go through a sale. So he was open to a fair bit of improvement. And he'd only had the one trial. And after I spoke to Steve, he hadn't done a lot with him. So he was open to a fair bit of improvement. And I said, look, he's the right type of horse to purchase. He is on the small side, and that probably put a lot of people off. And I know, talking to the owners, that some of their friends criticised the buy um, prior to his performances, obviously. But in Hong Kong, there is a little bit of a fixation on big horses. But look, he's good enough because he's big enough. That's all.
In the photos, he looked really tenacious. Like you could see him pin his ears back, and he wasn't going to let anyone get past him there. It was a very impressive performance, especially the way he placed himself early in the race, kind of on his own. Very, very impressive.
Yeah, Luke put him in a really good spot. And we had only spoken a couple of weeks earlier leading into it, Luke Ferraris and I, that he hasn't been passed by a horse in a race. When he's found the front, he hasn't had a horse get past him. So, his other two runs this season where he was placed, he was caught up in traffic both times. So once he's hit the front within the 2 furlong marker, he hasn't been passed yet, and long may that continue.
Was another perfectly judged ride from Luke. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, Mark, and we were talking about the partnership and the relationship that you guys have developed. He's proving sort of week in, week out, he's to be one of the better riders there in Hong Kong, particularly aboard horses on the speed. What did you see in Luke when you first came to Hong Kong that started what has now turned into such a great partnership between the two of you?
Yeah, look, 18 months ago when I kicked off here, one thing I noticed in the early trials leading into that first season was a very good barrier jockey. Horses jump quickly for him. He gets them into good positions. And look, that's essential in any race anywhere. But Hong Kong, where the horses are very evenly graded and you would prefer your horses on pace. Well, I do. I prefer the horses on pace. You just require, less luck doing that. And look, being someone young, he had room to, keep improving. And, he was probably in a similar situation to myself. You're here to, prove yourself and prepared to work hard.
Yeah, right. He was aboard another one of your, I guess, potential Derby horses on the same day, Midwinter Wind, who looked just absolutely awesome over the 6 furlongs there in his Hong Kong debut. Were you expecting that sort of a run from Midwinter Win? And what's your plans with him? Is he capable of 9 furlongs and beyond?
Look, he was at the opposite end of the spectrum. I told Luke to ride him really quietly right out the back and let him hit the line because, look, we've had this in mind for him that he may be able to make the 4-year-old series either through the Classic Cup and the Derby in another race or two. So he had to, settle and finish the race off. We went in there with enough confidence in him, but probably to this, that he would run home and run a good, second, third, or fourth. But once he built his momentum, he ended up running the fastest last 400 of the day. So he's certainly an above average horse. The plan with him, he'll progress to Class 2 level now and run on the 16th over a mile. And then that'll give us some options whether we go into the Classic Cup or we look for another path into the Derby.
That's awesome. So you've got a couple of runners now. I mean, it's pretty clear that, Mark, you took a lot out of year one in Hong Kong because you're absolutely flying in year two. You've nearly surpassed your season one winners tally of 31 already. You've surpassed it as far as prize money is concerned, which must feel very nice. What do you put your second year success down to?
Oh, patience mainly, because I did have a lot of new horses towards the end of last season and probably the last 3 months, and I didn't over race them. And he's a good example of that. My wish. He just had the 2 starts, so those type of horses have been good for me into this season, and really, when you start here, you get a lot of leftovers to train, especially for the first half of the season. The horses that you bring in yourself aren't ready to run until halfway or 3/4 of the way through the season. So it does take a bit of patience not to push the button too soon. And those horses have shown the benefit of a bit of time now. And look, we've got a new group sort of coming through now as well, which I'm hoping will finish off this season well for us.
Mark, are you still getting on horses in the morning for track work? And do you find that helps you with training them, placing them, seeing what their ability level is?
Yeah, I still do, and I still enjoy it. I think it does. It's probably it gives me what I consider a small advantage over most stables here. And it's how I've always operated. So I'm comfortable doing it and making an assessment on horses around that. And look, I enjoy it. I enjoy just being part of the stable and part of riding and all of that being associated with horses.
That's
You
great.
look good on a horse. I took a picture and I was like, wait, that's Mark on one of his horses when you first got there. And I was like, oh, it's awesome. Because the guys here that I know that do get on horses, it seems like they have a slight edge to the guys that don't.
Yeah, well, look, I've been riding horses, or race horses since I was 15. So, I think if I stop now, it'll be forever. It's not one of those things that you can just give away for a short amount of time. So, while I'm still capable and still enjoying it, I'll keep doing it.
Do you ever wish you were out there in race conditions again, Mark? When was your last ride in a race? Is it late 90s?
Last, no, 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 2011.
Oh gosh.
2011. I last ride was a winner
Ah, nice.
for Gay Waterhouse, but I had scaled right back and was doing quite a bit of work for Gay in those last few years. But I look, I the competition, yeah, I missed for a little while, but certainly not the preparation. I haven't sat in a sauna since September 10, 2011.
What a way to go out there. You went out aboard a winner for Gay. Fantastic stuff. You've always been very hands-on when it comes to training. But obviously in Hong Kong, you've got a lot of help and a lot of staff and all that kind of stuff. How have you sort of found having that additional help around the stable and all that kind of stuff? And I guess not being able to do everything that you used to do.
Well, actually, I struggled with it to start with because it's just not. I'm just not used to operating like that. So I do a lot of supervising now, but not a lot of hands-on work that I would normally do. But it's a nice position to be in and a privileged position to be in. We have a lot of staff and a lot of quality staff. They're well trained and they love their job. They turn up every day and they do their job well. So it's an enjoyable place to go to work.
Alex, you had a question about Mark's horses too and being able to identify them. What was that you were talking to me about when you were taking photos?
Yeah, the bands you put on the bridle that match the silks is just a nice little touch. I can find your horse in a pack of horses. It's very, very nice in my photos. I really like it.
Yeah, look, it's a little unique here, but a girl who was our first employee in Sydney, she still makes them for me, and like she worked for our Sydney stable, our first employee, and was there until the last day. So she matches up the colours and the brow bands, and the boys put them together at the stable for those particular horses. But it's a nice touch, and they certainly come up good in the winning photos.
That they do.
Mark, you got a handful of runners at Sha Tin this weekend, Saturday night, North American time for us, kicking off in race two and going through to the nightcap as well. One I wanted to ask you about race nine, number 12, Midori Giant, who looks to be impeccably bred, son of Maurice, out of a Lonhro mare. And while the form guide says 10th, I didn't think he was disgraced in his Hong Kong debut. What can you tell us about Midori Giant going into race nine on Saturday night?
Yeah, look, he ran really well at his Hong Kong debut. He's a he's well named Midori Giant. He's probably the biggest horse in Hong Kong, and he was drawn inside and didn't get a lot of room to get much momentum. He's drawn 12 on the weekend, and that will suit him a lot better. It'll give him a bit more room, and if he has clear ground from the 500, I'm sure he'll run very well. He's had a trial since that race and performed well in a strong trial. Midwinter Wind finished behind him, and the third horse in the trial came out and won as well. So it's been a good form guide, that trial, and I'm sure he'll run well on Sunday.
Great. And yeah, I've seen this. So we've got My Wish at around 900 pounds and Midori Giant. What is he topping the scales at over 1300?
He arrived over 1300. I think we've got him just under that now. So he's certainly a big animal.
Gosh, how about that, eh? What about any of the other chances at Sha Tin this weekend? Can you steer us into anything?
I like the horse in race two, Lucky Sam Gore, more so from probably a future point of view.
Yep.
First start, he's still a little green, but he's done enough in his trials to suggest that given a strongly run race, he'll finish the race off well.
Okay, awesome. Now I know everybody in Hong Kong are pretty protective of their own little piece of turf. There's lots of other Aussie trainers and jockeys there and everything like that. Who are you most likely to go out for a beer with if you wanted to go to the local pub or something?
Actually, very boring. My wife and I, we keep to ourselves pretty much. There's enough to do with owners going out and socialising without having to go with other trainers. But oh look, when Luke Ferraris' dad's here, we go out with him a bit, and I'll just try and keep it pretty simple.
Yeah, I thought it was really
Most,
cool. So you go,
oh,
Alex.
sorry. Most important is the wife having a good time in Hong Kong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, we're enjoying the lifestyle. Just the amount of travel you have to do now in Australia with racing virtually every day of the week. That wears you down a bit. And here with the 2 meetings a week and the routine, it gives you a bit more time for yourself. Not that I spend too much time away from the stable. I like going to work. But for instance, say last Saturday, we had the Chinese New Year meeting on the Friday, and Saturday we just ducked over to Macau for 2 nights, and that's just a nice little freshen up. And it probably just gets you out of the hustle and bustle of Hong Kong for a couple of days, and then back to work.
Nice. How often do you get to Chung Fa?
Every couple of weeks. So this coming Monday we've got trials there, and I'll go over there generally while a trial day is on, and get there early, watch the horses work, and then stay for the trials, and then come back at lunchtime.
Gotcha. I know you just mentioned David Ferraris, Luke's father. I thought it was awesome. Luke recalling his dad's victory in the same race that My Wish won on the weekend from, what was it, 12 or 13 years ago, Sweet Orange in 2012 when Luke was there, probably watching it over the fence because he wasn't allowed in the track. So that was awesome. Must mean a lot for you to be like, I guess making so many of Luke's dreams come true, I guess.
Yeah, but it works both ways too. He's helping some of mine. But yeah, look, his history here is well known, and like he would have been 10 or 11 years old when his dad won that race, and sitting on the fence just outside the apartments here, watching him go past the post. So it meant a lot to him, but it meant a lot to me also.
Nice. All right. Well, we know you've got one of those lunch and dinner dates that you talk of. So, Alex, have you got anything else for Mark before we let him get off to lunch?
No, we'll let him get to lunch. I got a dinner to get off to with my wife.
Is that why you're dressed up?
That's why I'm dressed up.
Nice. What about a pick in the Super Bowl for us on Monday morning your time, Mark? Are you going to be watching the Super Bowl between the Kansas City
Uh,
Philadelphia Eagles?
no, I haven't really got into that, but I have watched a couple of documentaries recently, so never know, might start to come on my agenda.
Oh, nice. Zach Purton, a couple of jockeys were telling us that it's Monday and Tuesday the games are playing in Hong Kong, and I guess it comes at a good time after the Sunday races. But Mark, just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Enjoy your lunch. We're going to enjoy following you for the rest of the season and cheering you on as you're in that tight race for a championship, which is just phenomenal. But also your 4-year-old My Wish and all the other great horses in your stable. we really appreciate your time and good luck for the rest of the season.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Awesome to have Mark Newnham on the show. Time now to take a look at the feature race at Sha Tin on the weekend and find your winner or two with our best bets. Race 8 is the TVB Cup over the 6 furlongs on the turf. Taj Dragon draws well in 3 for Brenton Avdallah. Number 2, Raging Blizzard, looking for 3 straight wins, and you'd think will be tough to beat with Hong Kong Huey up for John Size. We mentioned Huey earlier in the show, on fire last weekend at Sha Tin, riding 4 winners. 3 co-partner Prance was 3rd to Raging Blizzard last out. Magic Control, well, he went up against Kai Ying Rising in Group 1 company last time out, so should find this a little easier. And 6 Gorgeous Win. He scored last out after being the bridesmaid behind Raging Blizzard the 2 runs before that. The speed map showing Harmony and Bless taking the lead ahead of co-partner Prance and Magic Control. Alex, who do you like in the feature race on the weekend?
I think Turton's sticking with co-partner Prance as he was on Gorgeous Win last out. It's not a weight thing, it looks like this time. So I'm on co-partner Prance, and he looks like he could get a nice trip there sitting behind the speed. I like Raging Blizzard. If they do go quick up front, Raging Blizzard will be right there, and he's been so consistent. And then behind that, I like Gorgeous Win for 3rd. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with co-partner Prance over Raging Blizzard and Gorgeous Win. What about you?
Yeah, similar numbers. I've got Raging Blizzard on top. Don't know if we'll get much of a price, but just been really impressed with how he's won his last couple. He's going to get back, but I don't think there'll be too much distance from it's a short field from start to finish. So he'll be there or thereabouts as they swing for the turn, and he's sort of come from behind at his last couple and threaded the needle. Gorgeous Win for me for 2nd, and Magic Control in for 3rd, who, as I mentioned, should find this a little easier than going up against Kai Ying Rising. Now, my best bet, I'm not going to say my best bet, but my best value play on the card. We spoke about this horse with Mark Newnham just a few minutes ago. Race 9, number 12, Midori Giant. He didn't do anything to talk me off him, and I really did like that 10th on debut in Hong Kong. Big horse, 1,300 pounds, Mark said, or just under now that they've got him a little bit fit. So really interested to seeing how the former Australian Midori Giant goes in race 9, and hopefully we get a little bit of a price. Alex, what about you?
I don't know if he's going to be bettable price. He was very short last out when he ran into all sorts of trouble. But I do like Light Year's Charm in the 7th race with Zach Purton for David Eustace. He had a brutal trip in the straight, almost went over the rail. Then when he did get run, he got absolutely shut off. So from barrier 13, he shouldn't have the traffic trouble. Granted, barrier 13, he could get caught wide punching the breeze. But he's one that I'm going to take a look at. And if he's 2-1 range, maybe we'll take a shot with. We'll see.
All right, both of our best bets starting from wide gates, but hopefully they'll get a chance at Sha Tin, better than at Happy Valley anyway. So you're going to be joining us next week from the States, but then the following week you may be in Saudi. Is that right?
That sounds accurate. I think so. I got to talk to my agent. Got to see where I'm going to be.
Racking up plenty of frequent flyer miles, following one of the world's best horses. Pretty much around the world, aren't you? Romantic Warrior, you've gone to Japan, Hong Kong, Dubai, and now Saudi following this horse. Pretty amazing.
Just missed that Cox plate. It's still going to haunt me.
He almost missed the Cox plate as well, wasn't it?
Right.
Wasn't much in that photo. Mate, thank you so much again for joining us and giving us all of your wonderful insights into the world of Hong Kong racing. We'll look forward to catching up with you again next week. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show. Keep following us, HK Racing US, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and keep following the Hong Kong Jockey Club website for all your free PPs, replays, trials, expert analysis, and more. So that's hkjc.com. And we will see you next week on the Hong Kong Racing Show.